you've definitely never noticed at least one of these details in TF2. So, if you'd like to learn more about them, that's exactly what we'll be talking about today. On this episode of Details You Missed, we'll be looking in the blue team's battlement spawn. Let's begin. Howdy, Hoof here. Welcome back to yet another episode of Finding Details You Missed. On this episode, we will be now, for the first time, switching our attention to the blue team's side of the equation. So, once again, I will be here in a live area, and let's start just looking around and taking in every single detail we can with the hopes of finding any interesting details that you might overlook. Now, I realize I've made my first mistake by sitting outside of the actual spawning area, so luckily I was able to get myself in. So let's go ahead and start with the basics and just take in our general surroundings. Of course, everything looks very familiar, and I'm curious if we will actually find anything that interesting at all after looking so deeply at the red spawn area. But anyways, let's get right into it. First things first, of course, this battlement spawn area is also themed with a shower theme. You can see here we've got some cinder block walls, which maybe isn't necessarily tied to a shower theme, but it is characteristic of the lack in character of some of the other areas of the map that we saw on the red team. But it is plain enough to fit in with the shower theme. Of course, we have again the tile floors, and I've already noticed our first mistake, and this first mistake is that we are, of course, missing the shower drains. A mapping mistake, if you will. Now, normally, in the other spawn areas, normally there would be at least 2 shower drains. At least that's the way it is in the other spawns. Since we haven't checked the blue spawns out, though, we don't know if that is the case, but based on what I'm seeing so far, it looks like we're going to see pretty much very close copies to the red team's side of things. So that is our first mistake, missing some shower drains. Alright, we have some benches that do fit in line with the shower theme. Nothing too crazy there. I don't really see any crazy details worth mentioning in terms of the textures used for the walls. And of course, it looks like the piping and the ventilation is very similar to the red team. Probably exactly the same. And here we have the lamps, of course, which, unless I'm mistaken, look pretty much exactly the same as well. Now, here's what I'm curious about. There is another mistake that I had noticed, and I'm curious to see if it is here as well. And it is these pipes, which, as you can see here, do not connect properly to the ceiling in this area as well as this area. Very neat. So it's definitely exactly the same, probably just a direct copy. I wonder which one is the beginning copy, but we might be able to decide that once we explore the area over there. If you've seen the other videos, you might be able to guess what I'm talking about. But we'll get there. Now, I'm curious about this here. We have, of course, the 2 cameras pointed in the showers, which I had pointed out as being something a little bit strange and creepy, but I was curious to see if the lights would be a different color. I feel like it makes sense for cameras to have the red light. I think they've developed that reputation. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if this is exclusive to the blue area, but you'll look and you can see that the red light is just a tad bit off. It's actually emanating right below where the actual light fixture is. Now, that is a detail I've never noticed before, and I wonder if it is exclusive to the blue team. Let's actually go ahead and test that right now. Looks like it is the case for the cameras to have the red light be just under where the actual physical light is located. Very interested to know the answer to that. Let's take a look at everything else and, of course, appreciate the details. Well, you'll see here we have the pillar. I believe that is the same. A bunch of pipes again, all leading in one direction. And that pipe, of course, is a long and bent one as well. Here we go. There's something over here worth looking at. We have a broken texture here. If you move around, you'll see that the textures are colliding in such a way. I do not know the proper words to express it, but as you can clearly see, it just looks a little strange. And again, I do believe that is copied from the red team spawn as well. Now, the last thing worth taking a look at is these 2 open windows. And if you shoot in the middle, just like in the red spawn, there is nothing there. So there's no glass on these windows. They're just 2 open windows. I've got this person here interested in the windows as well. So we're going to all shoot at the windows together for fun. Personally, I do think that, oh, here we go. See, this is why TF2 is the best game. Anyways, like I was saying, these 2 open windows are a bit strange, but this is nothing new to me since we've already noticed these windows in the Red Spawn episodes. But just to reiterate, a bit strange because these windows have no actual glass pane and they do not look like they could even be closed. I don't know that I would call that necessarily a mistake. It's just an interesting detail to notice. Alright, let's move on. Oh no. Oh no, look at this. This fella's been locked out. Oh, he left the game. Alright, let's do a cursory look. Now again, I think most of this is going to be the same. So we do have this bell, which is the same. Of course, the wall textures are the same as well. Pillars, of course. Tons of pipes that do kind of align again with the shower theme. Oh, someone's freaking out in there. Towels, we have seen that before. Again, all aligning with the shower/locker room theming. Protein powder, deodorant. We have a normal looking resupply cabinet. And once again, look, if you look at this, same issue with the camera. The light is below. Now here's something that looks like a potential mistake. This could feasibly be a mistake. It also could just be a normal exit sign, because typically in real life exit signs are red. Where we left off is looking at these two doorways. Now something actually is kind of speaking out to me, and it also reminds me of something I missed back in the actual spawn area. But look at these doorways. They look a little bit off to me, mostly on this side. But the lining of this doorway, or whatever the actual term is, it is likely that it's just something about the lighting that's off and making it look strange. At the very least, we've noticed that the lighting of these doorways look a little bit like a mistake. But Ed and me, I'll have to make a note, should take a look and compare these to the red team. Now, as for the doorway, I do believe that it is different. This did, of course, remind me of something I completely overlooked, or at least didn't think to look at. And it is, of course, this doormat here, which, again, looks very similar to the red team's battlement spawn doorway bath mat or whatever. It again looks like just a piece of drywall put on the floor with either messed up lighting or just improperly textured, because the edges of which are completely black. Either way, I think that is for sure a mistake. Okay, let's get back into it. So we already looked at the exit sign. We looked at these doorways here. Let's turn our attention more to this area of the room. Again, we've probably pointed this out before, but as you can see up there, those pipes are not actually connected to the ceiling for some reason. I wonder how something like that happened. Seems like there's no other way to go about it. That has to be a mistake. Of course, underneath we have this large ventilation system. Most of this seems to be exactly a copy of the red team spawn, aside from maybe the cameras and the doorways, if those are in fact unique mistakes. Alright, so of course we have the hand wraps, another little bench here. We have a different looking calendar. It is on the month of June, and I can't read the actual dates. That might be a detail worth looking at. And as far as I can tell, everything here looks exactly the same. We do have the sock, boots with a sock, a bandolier, a vest. A lot of these clothing items, of course, belong to the mercenaries. But from what I can see, nothing sticks out as being different from the red team or just a mistake. And then, of course, we have the lone dumbbell. Not sure why this room in particular only has one dumbbell, but that does seem to be the case. Alright, now let's move into this area. As I was expecting, you can see here these two windows have the chicken wire, which is different from the two windows in that area of the spawn. Otherwise, we have, of course, these common looking lamps, two pillars as well. Nothing else is sticking out to me as being some sort of mistake. Oops, I fell down. Alright, well, other than that, I can't really see much else that sticks out as an interesting detail or mistake, so let's move on to the last area. This leads to the battlements, and there's not much going on here. Of course, we have a bunch of pillars. We have some lights, but what sticks out to me the most here is that this restricted area sign is actually properly colored, and it is not the case. Thank you for noticing. It is not the case in the red spawn. In the red spawn, this is also blue. So that, to me, stands out clearly as a mistake. We've confirmed it in my mind here. I feel very good. I feel vindicated knowing that that other area is some sort of mistake. Now, do I necessarily want it to be fixed? No, that is not what I'm talking about. The point of this series is to just notice things that you may not have noticed before. In a lot of ways, this is exactly what we were expecting, but potentially there could be one or two things that are unique from the red spawn. If this is your first video, you may have seen some details you might not have noticed before. So that does it. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to watch more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out the Patreon. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.